praises live our loyalty. Hail to thee, our alma mater, Hanover, hail to thee. Strong, serene in faith and honor, stands our college here, offering wisdom, truth, and beauty, year by passing year. We, her children, sing her praises, live our loyalty. Hail to thee, our alma mater, Hanover, hail to thee.
Today we are making history once again at Hanover College with the work, action, and deeds of so many people. We want to celebrate this moment as it represents another culture shift and bridge between tradition and innovation. The Nancee Vine Memorial Laboratory will serve as a shared space between the undergraduate and graduate faculty and students. Our vision was to create a special place. One was that state-of-the-art, spiritual, modern and clean, and also one that would provide multiple hands-on learning experiences, such as the ability to work with full-body cadavers and prosected body segments, plastinated models such as skeletons, muscles, blood, vein, and nerve supplies, anatomy in clay to visualize muscle origin and insertions, virtual reality, and the latest technologies that the anatomy faculty will explore in the future. On behalf of the DPT program and future students, I would like to thank the campus community for their support in this endeavor. Thank you to Nancee Vine, our donor for the lab, and Michael Worrell, the first Hanover anatomist. Thank you to the Board of Trustees, President Lambert, and the past and present cabinet for support in funding the lab, the architects, contractors, physical plant, and the Science Center faculty and staff for their communication, coordination, and renovation of the space. The music department, various faculty and staff that helped with the design, communication and marketing that helped with the video for today and the invitation, advancement who helped recognize our donor, the support of Lido Funeral Home for years of transportation services, and the DPT directors, who little did they know when I approached them and said, let's plan a virtual ribbon cutting ceremony, that we would be doing this at the same time we needed to meet an accreditation deadline. Lastly, thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to help make this day a memorable event. We are honored to be a part of the campus community and to share this experience with you. Next, President Lambert will say a few words about our mission and our generous donor, Nancee Vine.
Service is part of our fabric at Hanover College. Our mission speaks to it. And service takes a variety of forms in our community. It can be campus service projects, service learning courses, community service, philanthropic projects, and more. But even more, Hanover's mission is to prepare students for lives of meaningful service. And this same spirit of service will continue within the walls of the new anatomy space. As a way to honor the deceased who donate their bodies to science for student learning, the physical therapy faculty chose a Latin inscription over the entrance. Mortui prosumus vitae. The English translation is over the exit. Even in death do we serve life. May this inscription serve as a reminder to all who enter our gratitude for those who gave their bodies in continued service long after their deaths. Nancee Vine, our donor, emulates our mission of service. She passed away in October of 2019. She was born July 16, 1931, in Alton, Illinois. She graduated from Hanover College in 1954 and was a member of Alpha Omicron Pi. Throughout her life, Mrs. Vine lived frugally, and she was a very private person. She prioritized community service, especially in her retirement. She volunteered at Great Rivers Museum for many years and worked with the Arthritis Foundation, BJC Hospital, and the American Red Cross as part of a disaster crew. Ms. Vine never sought recognition for her volunteer work or her philanthropic contributions. Her sister, Jean Vine Russell, described her as a person who didn't have many wishes. Although she may not have had many needs herself, Ms. Vine clearly desired to give back to the organizations that mattered to her, one of which was her alma mater, Hanover College. Thanks to a generous gift to the college from Ms. Vine's estate, graduate students in the Doctor of Physical Therapy program will be able to participate in fully immersive experiences in a state-of-the-art anatomy lab at Hanover College. Our undergraduate Hanover students in the fields of kinesiology and integrated physiology, pre-medicine, pre-nursing, biology, or any of the health sciences will have continued opportunities to experience and research rarely available to undergraduates at most colleges and universities. To honor and recognize Ms. Vine's legacy of service to her community and philanthropic support of Hanover College, the Cadaver Lab will be known from this point on as the Nancee Vine 1954 Memorial Laboratory. We hope that the naming will be a reminder that the learning, study, and discovery that happens in this space is possible because of those who have gone before us and left a legacy greater than themselves. Our mission commits all Hanoverians to meaningful service, and today we honor Nancee Vine's continuing service because even in death, she continues to serve life. I now invite Brian Stanford forward, who chairs our Kinesiology and Integrated Physiology Department.
I'd like to say a few words honoring my former colleague and good friend, Mike Worrell. That's his picture right here, very recent. 16 years ago, Mike and I were invited to come to Hanover and start a program. There were a lot of missing pieces. It was purely a concept at the time. And we were able to put some things together. And in talking with Mike, I said, I wonder, even though we have very limited resources, very little money, very few pieces of equipment, if there's an opportunity here to do something special. And Mike said, well, I've got experience, considerable experience, dissecting human cadavers. And I've also taught at various levels, dissecting human cadavers. Do you think we could do anything like that here at Hanover? And I said, no, not at all. It's impossible. That can't be done. Mike said, well, maybe we take a shot at it. I said, well, we're newcomers to this building, this fabulous facility here. All the spaces had been taken, and so where are we going to put this cadaver lab? Let's start looking around. So Mike went down in the far catacombs, crawled around, and found a space. Again, I was very negative. I said, Mike, you can't even breathe in here. There's very little ventilation, there's little airflow, and you can't control the temperature very well. He said, that'll be perfect for a cadaver lab. They don't care. I said, well, you got a point there. So we found a space, decided to use that space. The next question was, all right, where does one go for cadavers, shopping for cadavers? And so Mike looked around, made a contact, basically a middleman up at Indiana University who agreed to procure the cadavers for us and then sell them to us. Okay, mission accomplished. How then do we get the cadavers from there to here? We don't just take a university van up there and pile 6 cadavers in it and drive down here. Vintage Mike said, I'll take care of it. He went down to Madison, visited the various funeral parlors, came back up, came into my office, and with a big smile on his face and said, Lytle Funeral Home has agreed they will transport the cadavers for us for free. They've been doing it every year. What a wonderful marriage of the community and the college. What a wonderful example of how things can work, unexpectedly especially. Mike was very particular about how he did things. We started the program, and I need to point out here the distinction of what a dissection cadaver lab is. Every college and university has an anatomy class and an anatomy lab. There are plastic models in there. There are skeletons. Maybe in some of the better ones there's a partially dissected cadaver from the waist up. Maybe in some of the much better ones there's a fully dissected cadaver. Students come in, they walk around the cadaver, the professor points out, various things. There's a head, there's a foot, there's an ankle, there's a nose. That's their learning experience. We wanted to go further than that. We want our students to dissect the cadavers. Program got started, flourished, was in great demand. Now, as I say, Mike was very specific about how he did things, and so he would only allow 8 students in the lab at a time. And why is that? Well, safety factor. You've got students in there with a razor-sharp scalpel working on a cadaver. You have a room with poor ventilation, poor temperature control. It would not be unusual for students to begin to feel nauseated and perhaps even faint. Why might somebody faint? Well, you walk in there, you got the smell of formaldehyde, which is pretty strong. And then perhaps you come in one day and say, all right, students, we are going to dissect the brain today. How do you dissect the brain? You cut off the skull cap and gain access to the brain. Right, Dean? So now what you're doing is you're adding the smell of burnt bone to the overwhelming smell of the formaldehyde. When I was a young graduate student working as a lab tech on weekends, I was invited, the pathologist invited me because he knew I was studying, to stand in and maybe even eventually assist on autopsies. Sure enough, my first autopsy was the brain. I walked in, the formaldehyde smell was pretty rough, but I can handle this. Then they started cutting through, and the smell of that burnt bone, and I was standing there saying to myself over and over again, I'm not going to faint. I'm not going to faint. Next thing I know, I'm laying on the floor, and the pathologist delighted in teasing me for the rest of my life on that affair. Still does when I see him. He's still alive. But the program was successful. And Mike, with 8 students per lab, what do you do when you have 30 to 40 students sign up for your class? Well, in the sciences, we teach Monday, Wednesday, and Friday lectures and a 3-hour lab. Mike voluntarily, if we had 30 to 40 students, would have 4 3-hour labs, or even at times 5 3-hour labs. So I went to Mike one day and I said, Mike, what you need to do is help me out here. I need some squeaky wheel stuff to go to the administration, because if we're doing everything, we're never going to get any help, and we badly need a lab coordinator to help us out doing all the things that we're doing. How about this? How about we cut these students in half? We enroll only 16 students. That gives you 2 sections of 8. You're still double duty. But now we're down to 16 students, and all the students who came here, and one of the reasons was maybe they wanted this class and this lab, they're over pounding on the administrator's door saying, we demand to get in this class. We want to get in. And so we say, no, we can't do that because we can't handle it with what we have right now. We need help. Mike said to me, no, we're not going to do that. I will never deny access to any student who wants to take this class in this lab. He kept rolling along, teaching 4 or 5 of his lab sections, plus other classes, I might add, and all the other things he was doing. Never complained. So the program has flourished. The point is, none of this would be possible without the work of Mike Worrell. He put it on the map. He did so many things for Hanover College, including getting our simulator, our patient simulator. Single-handedly went out, got the grant for that. Mike, a go-getter. I wish the story had a happy ending. But several years ago, Mike suffered a powerful, devastating stroke. And I might be quick to add that Hanover College was incredibly supportive. And I know there are limits to what an entity can do legally as far as insurance and all that goes. But Hanover College was fantastic with their support for Mike and held on and did more and more and more because we so desperately wanted Mike to come back and wanted him to feel loved and appreciated. But unfortunately, it became fairly obvious that in the short term, especially, that Mike's coming back was not going to happen, and it was even doubtful if it was possible beyond that. So Mike is went on medical disability and has been rehabbing and making some progress ever since then. So I pray for Mike, and I would like you to pray for him, his recovery. We greatly appreciate everything Mike did, and I think it's just wonderful that we are recognizing Mike in this way. Now I'd like to turn the podium over to my colleague, the Reverend and Chaplain, the Reverend Dr. Catherine Knott.
Let us pray together. God of all life, each of us has been created in your image and are part of a cosmos which you have breathed into being, calling it good. Today we give thanks for our siblings who in life and in death have given themselves to the vocation of healing your world. Each body and limb, lovingly crafted from your desire, resides here to care and to restore, to teach and to guide, and to remind us all of both the joyous gift of our existence and the great limitations of our finitude. We name this ground as holy, for it has been here that flesh of your flesh and bone of your bone is in fellowship with you and each other. It is here that the communion of the saints work collectively together with open minds and hearts to bear witness to your compassion for all of your creatures. Thank you for the profound gift of our beautiful, fragile, blessed bodies. We say this in the name of the one who is incarnate among us. Amen.
Excited today on this special occasion to take you on our virtual tour of the new Nancee Vine Class of 54 Memorial Laboratory on the Hanover College campus in the Science Center. I'm Dr. David Denton. I'm the Director of Clinical Education and Assistant Clinical Professor of Physical Therapy.
Dean Jacks. I've been at Hanover College for almost 10 years now. I've been in the kinesiology and integrative physiology program. Been heavily involved in the anatomy lab, and it's been in existence for, I believe, about 12 years. There's been a lot of people that have been involved in the program that brought it to the point where we were able to expand into what we have today. Mike Worrell started the lab 12 years ago. We've had Lytle Funeral Home. It's been great for us in terms of the community supporting and doing the transfer of our tissues up to Indianapolis and back. And we're real excited to have what we have.
A couple of things we want to bring to your attention before we do the tour are we want you to look at the artwork on the walls, because every room that we're going to go on along the way has a sort of theme. Out here, as you go into the new dissection lab, is themed to match the existing Science Center. So the existing Science Center and these artwork pictures are chosen to be more of a historical vintage view of anatomy. We're going to then take you into the full body dissection lab, which was basically transformed from the existing anatomy lab space. So expanded the hallway, took some offices out. Now it's equipped with state-of-the-art technology, large screen televisions, interactive cameras. It's just going to facilitate such a multimodal teaching and learning effort to get the best outcomes and memorization and knowledge of this material to carry these students through the rest of the way. So between the classroom, which we won't show you, it's a traditional classroom that has the models and all the atlases and apps on iPads that the students will review. We have the pro section room, which is new, that we will show you on the tour. And then we're going to go in, and not delay this any further, we're going to take you in right into the anatomy lab.
Okay, well, thanks, Dave. The room that we're going to look at is the original location for our dissection that we've been using for our undergraduate students for 12 years, and it's been expanded. We're going from a facility that we used to hold a maximum of 18 students that will become much larger now. What are the total numbers we're looking at?
So one of the theories between the three rooms, the pro section room, the full body dissection lab, and the classroom, is to divide up the cohort of students into thirds. So by dividing them and rotating between the methods of instruction, it's going to give a better student to instructor ratio. So we're going to have about 30 to 35 people in each room comfortably.
Yeah, and I think the strength of the foundation of the lab is the tissue dissection of human cadavers. And I've worked in anatomy education for a while now, and there's different approaches, but I think, you know, for the basics of it, the human dissection, there's really no other experience like it. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that as a foundation, and we're expanding out with technology and the other resources that Dr. Denton mentioned.
And lastly, before we enter in, I just want to say this is all made possible by the Nancee Vine family, all of our generous donors and support and gifts that we've gotten, as well as continue to get, that'll keep this program going and flourishing for many years. We looked at opportunities in southern Indiana and northern Kentucky to have this and see what other sites were available. And that's what really led to us keeping it in-house and doing this, is because there were very few places, if any, close enough to make it work. So we really ended up making something that we're very proud of, very blessed and lucky to have. And lastly, if you could tag one word onto this whole space, is state of the art. We better go in. Let's bring them in and let them see this lab.
That's right.
We'd like to welcome everybody into our full body dissection lab. This room was completely transformed from the previous space, from knocking down and expanding into the hallway behind us. Right in front of us where existing classrooms were taken down to expand the room. So we gained quite a bit of market space. And we wanted you to notice in this space that above the door is an inscription that reads, "Even in death do we serve life." And that's to pay tribute to the donors and the families who will continue to serve our students and health professions and the Doctor of Physical Therapy program in this cadaver lab. And again, the donors and support is what makes this possible. I know we get a lot of help from others.
Right. Well, I'd like to thank the folks up at IU Medical School, which run the donor program and have been supplying us with tissues for the previous 12 years. And also the families and the individuals that take the initiative to be a donor. If we didn't have that support, these things wouldn't happen. And thank you to everyone that's been involved in that program.
So this experience is really going to be 1/3 of the cohort. Some of the students are going to start in this room. Like we said, they all rotate between the three rooms. This is the full body room where a lot of the dissections are going to occur. We want to highlight some of the things that we have that are really blessed and lucky to have, including the numerous technologies. You can see the TVs in the background. That's going to enable us to be focused on a part up close, and some students are going to be able to huddle around and the others aren't. So we can get a camera in there and be able to project that up onto the TV. Dr. Jackson, if you want to give us the theme of the art in this room, like if you look at some of the pictures.
Right. Well, let me couple things on the technology and the vantage points that I'd like to give a plug is the cameras that we haven't had those in the past. And when you're in an anatomy lab, some of those very important structures are not very big. By having those facilities or resources, we'll be able to expand that up on the large screen monitors, and have a large number of students actually be able to have a nice vantage point of that. Now, that being said, a book. Always the book. We use Grant's dissector and some of the the basic things that have been around forever. We take advantage of that, and to make it, I guess, just a more accommodating environment, we have some really interesting artwork that's posted around the facility. Some more obvious, some X-ray type images, and some physiology-based images. And I find them real interesting because the longer that I look at the images, the more things that I actually see.
So would you say, Dr. Jackson, the flair in this room from an artistic standpoint, because we mentioned in the hallway that was more classic vintage of some of the historical anatomy, would you say the flair in here is more modern and more encompassing of the Science Center as a whole?
More modern, and as far as an anatomy lab goes, this is the first facility I've ever been experienced with that had any artwork. And it makes a difference, when you're in here 8 hours a day. It's a more interesting facility.
Yeah. So as far as state of the art goes, you can see from the color on the walls, the new flooring, the space, the lighting, the technology, all the cameras. This is just an unrivaled anatomy lab. So this is only one of the rooms we're going to show you. We'd like to take you into the pro section room now, really give you a look at all those models, the toys we have, and some of the other spaces that students are going to be able to take advantage of.
Okay, welcome to the pro section lab. This is the room that, well, we have 8 tables, but this is the room where we'll be doing what I call more specific dissections, that we can take specific tissues and organs and do more detailed dissections. Have some of the same technologies in this room, a camera with the monitors on the wall to expand it, which becomes even more significant in this setting, when you're looking at smaller structures.
I believe this has the mobile camera, so this camera is a little bit more mobile as far as a tablet, so we can share it and pass it around, and the TVs in a more intimate room can be more visible for this room.
Right, right. And ultimately, the models, these will be located in a classroom. The models are critical. The models, well, if you look around the room, not everybody looks the same. Not all anatomy is consistent. By having models, it gives you a basic standard structure of what things should look like, and not everybody looks the same. So these are good from that perspective. They're also good is we have some more simplistic models where structures and tissues are removed. So you can start with the basic network or foundation, whether you're looking at the musculoskeletal system or the nervous system, and you could get the main pieces, and then you can add on other structures by looking at a more advanced, sophisticated model, ultimately putting that together with prosection and what we do over in the whole body dissection lab.
And I'd just like to stress the overall importance of this room specifically, because to be able to integrate and utilize this space, which this anatomy wing has gained, is crucial. The classroom is located just off of this room so that there's a seamless transfer of students in the rotating groups from the classroom to the pro section lab to the full body dissection classroom. That's going to serve many learning styles and allow more success by having students that are more prone to learn effectively from models do well, have that ample time to study many different methods before they do the dissection. They can take as much time as they need to come in outside of lab times and prepare on these items, study outside of class time, so that they're not thrown in right into the dissection. And this classroom, being a more detailed, in-depth look, can be and breed more success in the courses which we're going to instruct in a difficult subject matter.
Right, yeah, and to give that another plug, students learn differently. In some cases, you go with the whole body dissection and then you back it off to more simplistic structures, and that works for them. Other people go the other way. Some people learn better off models, some people learn better off imaging, and we have all those things.
And this room, as Dr. Jack said, those options and blessings that we have, and having this is just to serve, basically. And that's really the key of this whole anatomy experience, is to serve the college, the community, the students. And you'll see from all the matching rooms and the colors and the flooring that's all been renovated. This room has, again, a different style artwork, more MRIs, more imaging. This is probably the more modern of the rooms. And even the modernness of these models, which we'll take looks at, go from full extremities to pull off parts, and you can peel back structures and really get in detail and really have a look at the structure on a very state-of-the-art model. So not only is the space state-of-the-art, but the actual tools that are in here from the technology and model standpoint is really going to make this something special, not only for the state, but regionally.
Right. And it will be heavily utilized by the DPT program. However, it will also be utilized by the undergraduate program. Since I've been at Hanover, I think we've probably put about 600 students through the anatomy lab and the anatomy course. And undergraduates will have access to this too. And that is a special experience at any level, especially to be able to have those experiences that early in your academic preparation.
So again, the main points of today, thank you for joining us. This is a celebration, something we're very proud of, something we're honored to have, something we're very appreciative of all the support and continued and present and past support to make this possible. We want you to take an in-depth look as we pan around and take you through some of the photos and images on the tour that we haven't gotten to. So we hope this is a celebration and you enjoy what we've done today on this virtual tour.
Right, thank you. And I think you can tell. Thank you for joining us on the virtual tour, and I think you can deduce that we're excited about this and looking forward to it. I'm glad you could join us on this tour.